Let me reveal to you the exact principle by which this operates in consciousness. What appears as delay? What feels like resistance? What seems like endless waiting? These are actually the final moments before manifestation. Just as the darkest hour comes before dawn, your greatest resistance precedes your greatest breakthrough. Here is the divine law. When manifestation seems furthest away, it is actually closest hand. For in the realm of consciousness, every feeling of distance is actually a sign of imminent manifestation. Your breakthrough is not coming. It is already here in consciousness, pressing against the thin veil of appearance. Now let me share with you something profound that few will ever grasp. The very fact you are receiving this message, that you are hearing these words, is absolute proof that your breakthrough is at hand. For in divine law, nothing comes to your attention unless it is already seeking expression in your world. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing it's not coming. It is here now. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no waiting, no process, no delay. There is only the acceptance or rejection of what already is. Let me share with you now how this principle operates specific areas of your life. For Laszlo applies to every sphere of manifestation. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that the very presence of desire is proof of its fulfillment. For in divine law, no desire can exist unless its fulfillment already exists in consciousness. The self is the shadow cast by the manifestation that already is. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your desire is directly proportional to the immediacy of its manifestation. That burning sensation you feel, it is not longing, it is the press against the thin veil of appearance. That persistent vision, it is not fantasy, it is reality-seeking expression. Now here is something profound about desire that most will never grasp. The universe will give you desires it cannot fulfill. Every desire you feel that use out saying what it is about to deliver. Your desires are not your tormentors, they are your prophets. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing my desires are not mere wishes, they are announcements of what must come. For in consciousness there is no unfulfilled desire. There is only delayed recognition of what already is. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your apparent obstacles. Every barrier you face, every step back to delay, all of these are actually signs of imminent breakthrough. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that time itself is nothing but a servant of consciousness. What appears as delay in the world of Fizar is actually perfect timing of divine law. For in consciousness there is no waiting. There is only the perfect unfoldment of what already is. Here is the exact law. The moment of greatest doubt is the moment of imminent manifestation. That feeling of how much longer is actually the birth pain of manifestation. That sense of will it ever happen is the final resistance before breakthrough. Now here is something profound about divine timing that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't delay, it develops. What appears as way to the perfect preparation for manifestation. Your seeming delays are not denials. They are divine setups for perfect manifestation. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every apparent delay is actually perfect timing. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no such thing as waiting. There is only the perfect unfoldment of divine order. Let me reveal to you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your current circumstances. Every condition that seems fixed, every unchangeable reality that feels permanent, all of these are actually fluid and responsive to your consciousness. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that circumstances have no power to persist except through your consciousness of them. For in divine law, what appeared as solid circumstance is actually as malleable as clay in the hands of your imagination. Here is the exact law. Your current circumstances, no matter how seemingly fixed, are actually in a constant state of flux, responding moment by moment to your consciousness. That unchanged situation, it is actually trembling on the verge of transformation. That fixed reality, it is actually fluid. waiting for your consciousness to reshape it. Now here is something profound about circumstances that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't see your current conditions, it sees only your consciousness of what could be. Your circumstances are not your prison, they are your canvas, waiting for the brush of your imagination. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing, my circumstances are fluid and responsive to my consciousness. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no such thing as fixed reality. There is only the constantly shifting reflection of your assumptions. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your past experiences. Every failure you've endured, every setback you face, every disappointment you survive, all of these are actually building blocks for your imminent breakthrough. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that failure is impossible in the divine economy. For in consciousness, what appears as failure is actually success in rehearsal. Every seeming defeat is actually preparation for victory. Every apparent setback is advancement in disguise. Here is the exact law. The magnitude of your previous failures is directly proportional to the scale of your imminent success. Those bitter defeats, they were actually training grounds for triumph. Those painful setbacks, they were actually positioning you for breakthrough. Now here is something profound about failure that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't recognize failure. It recognizes only experience, only development. Your failures are not your identity. They are your education preparing you for success beyond measure. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing, every failure transformed into greater success. For in consciousness, there is always permanent defeat. There is only temporary instruction, only momentary redirection, only perfect preparation. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your perceived limitations. Every boundary that seems to restrict, every limiting you, every ceiling that seems to cap your potential, all of these are actually springboards to greater expression. For every boundary that seems to confine you, every restriction that appears to bind you, every limitation that feels insurmountable, the launch at your greatest expansion. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that limitations exist only in consciousness. For in divine law, what appears as limitation is actually an invitation to transcend, to expand, to break through into new dimensions of expression. Here is the exact law. The more confined you feel, the greater your imminent expansion. That sense of being boxed in, it is actually the pressure building for explosive growth, that feeling of being restricted. It is actually the compression that precedes expansion. Now, if you find now limitations that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't recognize boundaries. It recognizes only opportunities for expansion. Your limitations are not your prison walls, they are your launching pads designed to propel you all previous boundaries. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing, every limitation contains within it the seed of greater freedom. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as permanent restriction, there is only temporary compression before expansion. Let me share with you now how this principle operates in your realm of your divine potential. Every talent that lies dormant, every gift that remains unexpressed, every ability that seems blocked, all of these are actually gathering force for magnificent expression. Here is the exact law. The greater your sense of unrealized potential, the more in it its expression, that feeling of untapped greatness. It is actually your manifested reality demanding expression. That sense of unrealized dreams, it is actually your success pressing against the present moment. Now, here's something profound about few of the universe doesn't give you abilities you cannot express. Every talent you possess, every gift you've been given, every capability you feel, all of these are guarantees of their own expression. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing my potential is not future possibility. It present reality seeking expression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as unrealized potential. There is only temporarily unexpressed reality. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine timing. Everything that seems delayed, every opportunity that appears missed, every timing that feels off. All of these are actually perfect orchestration in divine sequence. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that nothing you experience is accidental. For in divine law, what appears as coincidence is actually consciousness made visible, the outer world reflecting your inner knowing of imminent manifestation. Here is the exact law. The increasing frequency of synchronicities in your life is direct approaching manifestation. Those meaningful numbers you keep seeing, they are actually consciousness confirming your breakthrough. Those chance encounters, they are actually divine orchestration making way for your good. Now, here is something profound about divine science that most have never grasped. The you whispered speak in whispers, it speaks in patterns. Every recurring sign, every repeated message, every persistent synchronicity is actually the universe confirming your imminent breakthrough. Throughout your consciousness, maintain every synchronicity is confirmation of my manifestation. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as coincidence. There is only the visible evidence of invisible law. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine preparation. Every challenge you're facing, every experience you're having, all of these are actually perfect preparation for your imminent breakthrough. Let me reveal to you now how this principle operates in the realm of your seeming setbacks. For every obstacle that appears in your path, every resistance that rises up, every challenge that confronts you, these are not barriers to your breakthrough. They are announcements of its imminence. When you grasp this principle, you will understand backs are actually setups. For in divine law, what appears as opposition is actually opportunity in disguise. Resistance actually advancement in reverse clothing. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your current challenges is directly proportional to your main breakthrough. Those overwhelming obstacles, they are actually measuring the size of your coming victory. That fierce resistance, it is actually calculating the scale of your impending triumph. Now, here is something profound about setbacks that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't send obstacles to stop you. It sends them to strengthen you. Every challenge you face is actually custom designed to prepare you for the level of success that awaits you. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing, my sect are actually divine setups. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as opposition, there is only opportunity wearing a mask. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine precinct. Every skill you're developing, every experience you're gaining, all of these are actually perfect training for your imminent elevation. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that relationships are not fixed. They are fluid expressions of consciousness. For in divine law, what appears as separation actually preparation for deeper union. What feels like disconnection is actually realignment for perfect connection. Here is the exact law. The depth of your current loneliness is actually measuring the magnitude of your coming actions. That sense of isolation, it is action created space for divine relationships. That feeling of disconnection, it is actually clearing the way for perfect unity. Now here is something profound about divine relationships that few will ever grasp. The universe doesn't remove people from your purpose, it arranges relationships to match your rising consciousness. Every relationship shift you experience is actually aligning you with your next level of expression. Throughout your consciousness, maintaining every relationship change is perfect divine orchestration. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as lost connection. There is only perfect realignment for greater expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of divine purpose. Every future path, every uncertainty about your direction, every doubt about your calling, all of these are actually clarity in disguise. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that purpose is not something you find. It is something you allow to find you. For in divine law, what appears as confusion is actually perfect purpose preparing to reveal itself with absolute clarity. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your questioning about purpose is directly proportional to the magnitude of your coming revelation. That deep uncertainty is actually certainty gathering force. That persistent questioning, it is actually your purpose pressing for recognition. Now, here is something profound about divine purpose that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't hide your purpose from you, reveals the very questions that seem to obscure it. Your confusion is not a barrier to clarity, it is the soil from which absolute certainty will grow. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing my purpose is not lost, it is revealing itself with perfect timing. For in conscious such thing the puzzlelessness, there is only purpose preparing for perfect expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine abundance. Every financial strain, every material lack, every resource limitation is actually abundance gathering force for expression. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that lack is impossible in the divine economy. For in divine law, what appears as scarcity is actually abundance compressed. What feel like limitation, a limited supply gathering force. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your current financial pressure is directly proportional to the magnitude of your coming abundance. That overwhelming sense of lack is actually pressed to its breaking point. That feeling of restriction, it is actually unlimited supply preparing to burst forth. Now, here is something profound about divine abundance that few will ever grasp. The universe doesn't create lack, it creates pressure for expansion. Every fry you experience is actually the universe compressing abundance until it must explode into manifestation. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing my current limitations are actually unlimited supply and compression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as lack. There is only abundance preparing for expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine health. Every physical challenge, every bodily limitation, every health concern, all of these are actually perfect health pressing against temporary appearance. Let me reveal to you now this principle operates in the realm of your divine health. For every physical limitation you're experiencing, every bodily challenge you're facing, every health concern that troubles you, these are actually perfect health pushing through into expression. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that illness is impossible in divine reality. For in divine law, what appears as sickness is actually health asserting itself. What feels like limitation is actually wholeness pressing through appearance. Here is the exact law. The intensity of current physical challenges is directly proportional to the magnitude of your coming health breakthrough. That persistent condition, it is actually perfect death gathering force. That chronic issue, it is actually wholeness preparing to express. Now here is something profound, health that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't create illness, it creates opportunities for greater health expression. Every physical challenge you face is actually perfect health demanding recognition. Through your conscious knowing, my body is not broken, it is breaking through to perfect expression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as permanent illness. There is only temporary appearance yielding to divine reality. Let me share with you now how the sample operates in the realm of your divine wisdom. Every confusion you experience, every uncertainty you face, every doubt that clouds your mind, all of these are actually perfect understanding gathering force. Let me bring all these eternal principles to their ultimate culmination. For what I have shared is not merely theory. It is the absolute law of imminent breakthrough, the divine science of manifestation. Here is your final revelation. You who sit here now hearing these words, receiving this message, you are not approaching your breakthrough, you are standing at its very presence. The very fact that these words are reaching your consciousness is absolute proof that your manifestation is at hand. Remember this fundamental truth: the universe, which is your own wonderful human imagination pushed out, must respond to your consciousness of breakthrough by human timing, by divine law, not by mortal calculation, but by eternal principle. Here is your final instruction. Take what I have revealed to you tonight and live in the absolute assurance that everything you desire is already pressing against the thin veil of appearance-seeking expression. For this is not mere possibility, this is divine law. I tell you with complete authority, if you will maintain this consciousness of imminent breakthrough, your entire world must reshape itself to reflect this truth. Every obstacle, limitation must dissolve, every barrier must crumble before your consciousness of imminent manifestation. Go forth now in the absolute knowing that your breakthrough is not coming, it is here. You are not approaching it. You are standing in its presence. You are not waiting for it. You are witnessing its unfolding. Remember, you are not calling forth something that does not exist. You are simply awakening to what eternally is. Everything you desire already exists in divine substance, pressing against appearance, waiting for your consciousness to align with its expression. Let this be your conviction as you leave here tonight. Your breakthrough is not a future event. It is a present reality. It is not something to achieve, it is something to accept. It is not something to create, it is something to allow. For this is the eternal promise, and it cannot fail. What appears as delay is divine timing. What feels like resistance is reality gathering force. What seems like waiting is actually manifestation unfolding. The end has been reached for you now. Possess the key to all manifestation. Your conscious mithra. Use it faithfully, use it consistently, and watch every obstacle transform into opportunity, every limitation into liberation, every barrier into breakthrough. The one thing you must stop doing, the very thing that pushes success away from you, is living in the consciousness of lack. Now, let me tell you what I mean by this, for it is of paramount importance. Every moment of your day, you are either living in the consciousness of lack or the consciousness of abundance. There is no middle ground, no neutral state of being. When you declare, I want success, you are actually affirming its absence. When you say, I need more money, you are dwelling in the consciousness of not having enough. When you proclaim, I wish I was successful, you are living in a state of wanting rather than having. Do you see the subtle yet crucial difference? Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. The outside world is nothing more than the objectification of your inner assumptions. Whatever you are experiencing now, be it lack or abundance, is the direct result of your accepted beliefs about yourself and the world. Tonight, I will show you how to move from the consciousness of lack to the consciousness of fulfillment, from the state of wanting to the state of having, from the condition of seeking to the condition of being. Consider this: when you say, I want success, you are placing success outside of yourself, making it something to be attained rather than something to be expressed. This is the fundamental error that keeps pushing success away from you. Success is not something to be pursued. It is a consciousness to be assumed. Let me tell you a story from my own experience. Many years ago, I knew a man who constantly spoke about wanting to be successful. He would say, when I become successful, I will, and then list all the things he would do. Year after year, success eluded him. Why? Because he was living in the consciousness of wanting success rather than being successful. Then one day, he heard what I'm telling you now. He realized that as long as he lived in the consciousness of wanting success, he would continue to experience the want of success. That very night, he made a fundamental shift in his consciousness. Instead of saying, I want success, he began to live from the consciousness of being successful. He would fall asleep each night feeling the naturalness of being successful. He would walk through his day experiencing the feeling of being successful. He made this his new normal state of consciousness. Now pay careful attention to what I'm about to tell you, for this is the crux of the matter. Success is not a future event, It is a state of consciousness. The feeling of being successful now is the secret of experiencing success in what you call the future. When you live in the consciousness of lack, saying things like, I need more money, I want better relationships, I wish I had more opportunities, you are actually reinforcing the very state that keeps these things from you. You are dwelling in the consciousness of absence, and the law of consciousness dictates that what you assume you must express. Let me show you how to make this fundamental shift in consciousness. First, you must understand that your imagination is not a tool for daydreaming about what you want. It is the very substance of reality itself. When I speak of imagination, I am speaking of your consciousness, your I am-ness. The Bible tells us, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." This is not mere poetry, it is a practical instruction in the art of consciousness transformation. When you continue to live in the consciousness of lack, you are using your imagination, your creative power, to perpetuate the very condition you wish to change. Consider this profound truth. Everything in your world is pushing against you with the force of your own assumption. If you assume lack, the whole world will prove you right. If you assume abundance, the same world will reorganize itself to prove that assumption. Now, let me give you a practical technique to stop living in the consciousness of lack. Tonight, when you go to bed, instead of reviewing your day of wanting and seeking success, you will enter into a new state of consciousness. You will feel as though you are already successful. But remember, this is not mere positive thinking or affirmation. This is a complete assumption of the state of consciousness of being successful. Feel its naturalness. Feel how it would feel to be the person you desire to be. Feel the satisfaction, the contentment, the gratitude that would be yours if you were already expressing success. Many of you are thinking, but Wayne, how can I feel successful when my current reality shows me the opposite? This is where most people remain trapped in the consciousness of lack. They allow their current circumstances to dictate their inner state. Let me tell you something remarkable. Your present circumstances are nothing more than the harvest of your previous assumptions. They have no power to determine your future unless you give them that power by accepting them as final. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone who dared to assume a state that their senses denied. Every invention, every discovery, every advancement started in the imagination of someone who refused to accept current circumstances as final. The one thing you must stop doing is allowing your present facts to determine your inner conversations. Your inner conversations are your actual state of consciousness. When you say, I can't afford it, it's too difficult, I'm not qualified enough, you are having inner conversations that perpetuate the state of lack. Instead, you must begin new inner conversations based on the assumption of already being what you desire to be. When you walk, you must walk with the feeling of being successful. When you talk, you must talk from the consciousness of being successful. When you work, you must work from the state of being successful. Let me share with you a profound secret. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Whatever you are feeling is true about yourself right now is creating your future experiences. If you are feeling the frustration of wanting success, you are creating more experiences of wanting success. Now, let us delve deeper into the practical application of this principle. When I tell you to live in the consciousness of success rather than the consciousness of lack, I am not suggesting mere mental gymnastics. I am revealing to you the very foundation of creation itself. Consider this. Every night before you sleep, your consciousness is in a state of high receptivity. This is the time when the seed of your assumption will take root most deeply. Instead of falling asleep, feeling the frustration of what you do not have, fall asleep in the consciousness of already having what you desire. Let me give you a specific technique. As you lay in your bed, try to close your eyes and ask yourself this question: how would I feel if I were not expressing the success I desire? Then let that feeling envelop you completely. Feel the satisfaction, the contentment, the absolute knowing that success is not something you are seeking, but something you are expressing right now. Remember, the subconscious mind accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. It does not argue, it does not question, it simply accepts and then proceeds to express that acceptance in your outer world. This is why feeling is the secret. Many of you have been told that you must work hard, struggle, and sacrifice to achieve success. But I tell you, these are the very assumptions that keep you bound to the consciousness of lack. Success is not achieved through effort, it is expressed through assumption. Think about this: when you assume the feeling of success, you are actually moving into a different state of consciousness. In this new state, opportunities that were always there but invisible to your previous state of consciousness suddenly become visible and available to you. Let me share with you a principle that few understand. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out. Everything you perceive is an expression of your own consciousness. Therefore, when you live in the consciousness of lack, the whole world conspires to show you lack. When you live in the consciousness of success, the same world reorganizes itself to show you success. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Wayne, what about action? Don't we need to do something? Yes, but your actions must spring from the consciousness of already being successful, not from the consciousness of trying to become successful. Do you see the difference? When you act from the consciousness of lack, your actions are tinged with anxiety, doubt, and the energy of seeking. But when you act from the consciousness of already being successful, your actions flow naturally, effortlessly, inspired by the very state you have assumed. Consider this: success is not a destination. It is a state of consciousness. Just as you can move from one room to another in your physical home, you can move from one state of consciousness to another in your spiritual home. The move is accomplished not by physical effort, but by assumption. Let me tell you something profound. The state of consciousness of already being successful knows exactly what to do. It knows precisely what actions to take. It attracts the right circumstances, the right people, the right opportunities. But you must first occupy that state. Let us now address what many find most challenging: maintaining this new state of consciousness when your external world has not yet caught up with your inner assumption. This is where most people falter, where they allow the evidence of their senses to pull them back into the consciousness of lack. Remember this eternal truth: the outer world must conform to your inner assumptions, but it does so in its own time and in what often appears to be a natural way. While you're waiting for the outer manifestation, you must maintain the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. Let me share with you what I mean by persistence in assumption. When you wake each morning, your first thoughts often determine the tone of your entire day. Instead of waking to thoughts of what you lack or what you need to achieve, wake to the consciousness of already being successful. Feel it as naturally as you feel the pillow beneath your head. Many of you ask, but Wayne, what about when things go wrong? What about when circumstances seem to contradict my assumption? Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, for this is crucial. Circumstances have no power to alter your state of consciousness unless you give them that power. When circumstances seem to deny your assumption, that is the time to intensify your feeling of already being what you desire to be. Remember, the outer world is only reflecting your past assumptions. Your present assumption, if persisted in, will become your future fact. Consider this every moment of your day. You are either strengthening your new state of consciousness or falling back into the old state of lack. Your inner conversations, your reactions to events, your feelings about yourself, these are either confirming your new state or contradicting it. Let me give you a specific example. When you receive a bill in the mail, do you immediately fall into the consciousness of lack, thinking, how will I pay this? Or do you maintain the consciousness of abundance, knowing that as a successful person, all your needs are met with ease? Your reaction in such moments reveals your true state of consciousness. This is why I tell you, the one thing you must stop doing is allowing external circumstances to determine your internal state. Your internal state must be maintained regardless of external evidence. This is the art of living from the end. Think about this: success is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens from you. It is the outer expression of an inner conviction. When you truly live in the consciousness of being successful, success becomes as natural as breathing. Many of you have been taught to set goals, to make plans, to take action. But I tell you, before all of these, you must first establish the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. For your goals, plans, and actions will then spring from this new state of consciousness. carrying with them the power of fulfillment. Let me share with you a profound secret about manifestation. The world is not responding to your wants, your needs, or your wishes. It is responding to your state of consciousness. When you live in the consciousness of lack, saying I want success, you are actually manifesting more wanting, not more success. Now let us discuss what I consider to be the most vital aspect of this teaching, the role of faith in maintaining your new state of consciousness. But when I speak of faith, I do not mean belief or hoping for the best. I speak of faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen in the external world. Consider this profound truth: faith is nothing more than loyalty to your unseen assumption. When you assume the consciousness of being successful and persist in that assumption despite all external evidence to the contrary, you are exercising true faith. Let me tell you something that few understand about the nature of faith. Faith is not believing that something will happen in the future. Faith is knowing that what you desire is already yours in consciousness, and therefore must manifest in your experience. This is why I tell you that imagination creates reality. Many of you struggle with maintaining your assumption because you're constantly looking for evidence in the external world. But I tell you, the evidence appears after the assumption, never before. Your task is to remain faithful to your assumption until it hardens into fact. Think about this. Every time you say, I'll believe it when I see it, you are living in direct opposition to the law of consciousness. The correct attitude is, I'll see it because I believe it. This is the true meaning of faith. When you wake in the morning and your external world shows no sign of your assumed success, that is the moment to intensify your faith. Instead of allowing the external to shake your conviction, let every contradiction strengthen your resolve to maintain your new state of consciousness. Let me share with you a practical technique for maintaining your faith. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself slipping back into the consciousness of lack, stop and ask yourself this question: how would I be thinking and feeling right now if I were already expressing the success I desire? This simple question will bring you back to your desired state of consciousness. But remember, this is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about assuming the natural feeling of already being what you desire to be. Consider how a truly successful person thinks and feels. They don't wake up wondering if success will come to them. They don't go through their day seeking success. They live, move, and have their being in the consciousness of success. This must become your new normal. Many of you have created habits of thought and feeling that perpetuate the consciousness of lack. Every time you say, I can't afford it, it's too difficult, I'm not ready, you are strengthening these habits. These must be replaced with new habits that spring from your assumed state of success. Let me tell you something profound about habits of consciousness. They can be changed in an instant by assumption. The moment you assume a new state of consciousness, you have changed. The persistence of that change depends entirely on your loyalty to the new state. Let us now explore what happens in the interval between your assumption and its manifestation in the physical world. This interval is where most people falter, where they allow doubt to creep in and return to the old state of consciousness. Remember this: the interval is not a period of waiting, it is a period of gestation. Just as the seed planted in the ground requires time to grow into a visible plant, your assumption requires time to grow into a visible manifestation. But the seed does not doubt, it simply grows according to law. Many of you ask, how long must I maintain this new consciousness before I see results? This is the voice of doubt, the voice that would pull you back into the consciousness of lack. Time is not a factor in the operation of consciousness. The only factor is the intensity and persistence of your assumption. Consider this: every moment you spend wondering when your desire will manifest is a moment spent in the consciousness of not having it. Every moment you spend checking to see if it's working is a moment of doubt. These moments of doubt are like continually digging up a seed to see if it's growing. Let me share with you the secret of perfect faith. Live as though your assumption is already fact. When you truly assume the consciousness of being successful, you no longer worry about when or how it will manifest. You simply live from that state, knowing that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify itself in your world. Think about this. The outer world is nothing more than a delayed reflection of your inner assumptions. What you are experiencing now is the result of past assumptions. What you will experience tomorrow is being determined by your consciousness today. Many of you struggle with what appears to be failure or setback. But I tell you, there is no such thing as failure when you understand the law of consciousness. What appears as failure is simply the passing away of an old state of consciousness. It is making way for the new state you have assumed. Let me tell you something profound about the nature of success. It is not a series of achievements or acquisitions. It is a state of consciousness that, once truly assumed, expresses itself in countless ways in your external world. When you live in the consciousness of success, success becomes your natural experience. Consider how different your life would be if you never again lived in the consciousness of lack. If you never again said, I can't, I need, I want. If you lived completely and consistently in the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. This is the challenge I leave with you tonight. Stop doing the one thing that pushes success away. Stop living in the consciousness of lack. Begin now to live in the consciousness of fulfillment. Let every thought, every feeling, every inner conversation spring from the assumption that you are already what you desire to be. Remember this eternal truth. The world is yourself pushed out. Change your concept of self and you change your world. There is no other way. All things exist in consciousness, and it is from consciousness that all things appear. Your task is simple, though it may not be easy. Assume the consciousness of being successful now. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now. For now is the only time there is, and now is when your assumptions are creating your future. I leave you with this final thought. Success is not something you pursue. It is something you express from a state of consciousness. The consciousness of lack perpetuates lack. The consciousness of success perpetuates success. Choose this day which consciousness you will live from. For in the end, there is only one cause behind all effects, one source of all manifestation, consciousness. You are that consciousness individualized as you. The power is within you. The choice is yours. The time is this now. The time is this law. Prove it to yourself. For in the testing lies your freedom, and in the proving lies your transformation. Go now and live in the assumption that you are already that which you desire to be, and watch as your world transforms to reflect your new state of consciousness. The one thing you must stop doing is waiting to be successful, for success is not a future state to be achieved. It is a present state to be assumed. Assume it now. Live from it now. Be it now. For what you assume, you become. And now, knowing this truth, knowing that the power is within you, knowing that your consciousness creates your reality, go forth and be what you desire to be. For in this knowing lies your freedom, and in this freedom lies your power. Test it, prove it, live it, for this is the law and this is the way. Good night. Tonight, I shall share with you the most profound secret of creation. How to speak blessings upon yourself and instant transform your entire world. So you see, when you truly understand how to bless yourself, you are engaging in the highest form of creation, for you are doing what God does continuously. Consider the first chapter of Genesis, where God speaks blessings upon his creation. Notice how he didn't ask anyone else to bless his work, he blessed it himself. This is the pattern you must follow, for you are that same creative power individualized as you. Let me share with you why blessing yourself is the most powerful act you can perform. First, you must understand that when you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are not engaging in mere positive thinking or affirmations. You are exercising your divine creative power, for you are God individualized as you. Many of you come to me seeking blessings from others, from teachers, from gurus, from religious leaders, but I tell you now, no one can bless you more powerfully than you can bless yourself, for you are the operant power in your world, and your word is the creative power of God in action. When you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are doing what God did in the beginning. Consider the words, and God blessed them. He didn't wait for someone else to bless his creation. He blessed it himself. And you being made in his image and likeness must do the same. Let me share with you the proper way to speak blessings upon yourself. First, you must understand that when you say, I bless myself, you are not speaking as a mortal being. You are speaking as God individualized, for your I am is God. And when you speak blessings from your I am, you are speaking with all the power of creation. Consider this: every time you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are literally recreating your world, for your word is God's word, and God's word cannot return void. It must accomplish that which it is sent to do. But then this is crucial. Your blessings must be spoken with understanding and feeling. You cannot merely repeat words mechanically and expect results. You must feel the truth of the blessing as you speak it, for feeling is the secret. And without feeling, words are empty. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When Isaac blessed Jacob, he felt the blessing as he spoke it. He wasn't just saying words, he was feeling the reality of what he was declaring. And this is exactly how you must speak blessings upon yourself. Many of you might be thinking, but Nebo, isn't it selfish to bless myself? Let me tell you something. It is the most unselfish thing you can do. For when you bless yourself, truly understanding that you are God individualized, you are blessing all of creation. For there is no other. What you see as others is yourself pushed out. Let me share with you how to properly structure your self-blessings. Begin with your I am, for this is the name of God. Then speak your blessing with absolute conviction. For example, I am blessed with perfect health. I am blessed with unlimited abundance. I am blessed with divine wisdom. But remember, these are not mere affirmations, they are acknowledgments of what is already true in consciousness. For when you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are not trying to make something true, you are acknowledging what is already true in the spiritual realm. Consider this principle I have tested and proven countless times. When you bless yourself, you are performing the highest act of creation. For in blessing yourself, you are acknowledging your divine nature, and what you acknowledge must manifest in your experience. Let me share with you the 3 aspects of effective self-blessing. First, there is recognition. When you bless yourself, you must recognize that you speak as God individualized, not as a mortal being hopping for good, but as the divine creator declaring what is. Second, there is feeling. Your blessings must be accompanied by the feeling of their fulfillment. When you say, I am blessed with perfect health, you must feel the vitality, the strength, the well-being that this blessing implies. Fulfilling is the secret of creation. Third, there is acceptance. You must accept that your blessing is already fulfilled in consciousness. Not that it will be, not that it might be, but that it is. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you accept in consciousness must externalize itself in your world. Many of you make the mistake of blessing yourself while looking at your current circumstances. But I tell you now, circumstances have no power over your blessings unless you give them that power. Your blessings create circumstances, not the other way around. Let me share with you a profound truth about self-blessing that most of the world has missed. When you bless yourself, you are not asking for something to be given to you. You are acknowledging what is already yours by divine right. For all blessings already exist in consciousness, waiting to be acknowledged and claimed. Consider the words of Scripture before they call, I will answer. This means that every blessing you could ever speak upon yourself already exists in consciousness. Your speaking of the blessing is not creating it. It is acknowledging and claiming what already is. Let me share with you how to maintain the consciousness of yourself blessings throughout your day. Most people speak a blessing and then return to their old patterns of thought. But I tell you now, your blessing must become your constant inner conversation. I think about this carefully. Every time you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are literally rearranging the entire spiritual substance of your universe. For your consciousness is God, and what God blesses must manifest. Let me give you some specific blessings that I have found particularly powerful. First, I am blessed with perfect understanding of my own divine nature. This blessing opens the door to all other blessings, for when you truly understand your divine nature, all things become possible. Second, I am blessed with the constant awareness of my creative power. This blessing keeps you mindful of your true identity as God individualized. For you see, most people forget their divine nature and slip back into mortal thinking. Third, I am blessed with the ability to see past appearances to the truth of being. This blessing helps you maintain your focus on the reality of consciousness rather than the shadows of circumstances. Consider how these blessings work together. Each one strengthens the others, creating a powerful foundation for all your other blessings. For when you truly understand your divine nature, are aware of your creative power, and can see past appearances, you become a master of conscious creation. Many of you may be wondering how often to speak these blessings. Let me tell you something. It's not about frequency, it's about consciousness. One blessing spoken with complete understanding and feeling is worth more than 1,000 spoken mechanically. Let me share with you another principle about self-blessing that most people miss. When you bless yourself, you are not speaking to yourself as a mortal being, you are speaking as God to his creation. For you are both the blesser and the blessed, the creator and the creation. Think about this carefully. When God said, "Let there be light," he didn't doubt whether it was possible. He didn't wonder about the process. He simply declared it and knew it was done. This is exactly how you must speak your blessings upon yourself. Consider the power in this understanding. When you say, "I am blessed," you are speaking with the same authority that created the universe. For your I am is the same I am that spoke all things into being. Let me share with you how to handle doubts when they arise after speaking your blessings, and they will arise. Many of you speak a blessing upon yourself and then immediately begin to question whether it will work. But I tell you now, doubt is simply a form of consciousness trying to maintain its position. Consider what happens in nature when you plant a seed. The seed doesn't doubt whether it will become what it is meant to be. It simply begins its transformation according to its nature. Your blessings work the same way. They are spiritual seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Let me give you a deeper understanding of how this works. When you say, "I am blessed with perfect health," for example, you have planted a seed in consciousness. Now, just as a physical seed needs time to sprout and grow, your blessing needs time to externalize itself in your world. And this is crucial. While the outer manifestation may take a change in consciousness, it is immediate when the blessing is properly spoken. For you see, the moment you speak a blessing with understanding and feeling, you have altered the entire spiritual substance of your universe. Many of you may be thinking, "But Nebel, I've spoken blessings before and nothing changed." Let me tell you something my teacher Abdullah taught me. Nothing changes because you spoke the words. Things change because you became what you declare. Let me share with you another principle about self-blessing that most of the world has missed. When you bless yourself, you are not trying to influence God to give you something. You are exercising your divine power as God individualized. For your consciousness is God and your word is his word. Consider the story of the prodigal son. Notice how the father didn't wait for someone else to bless his returning son. He blessed him himself. This is exactly what you must do. You must be both the father giving the blessing and the son receiving it. This brings me to a deeper truth about self-blessing. When you say, "I am blessing," you are acknowledging both your divine nature, I am, and your human experience, blessed. You are bringing heaven and earth together in your consciousness. Let me share with you what I call the 7 pillars of self-blessing. These are the foundational principles that must be understood if your blessings are to have their full creative power. The first pillar is recognition. You must recognize that you are the one who blesses. Not your personality, not your mortal self, but your I am. For when you say, "I am blessed," you are speaking as God individualized, not as a mortal being seeking favors. The second pillar is authority. When you bless yourself, you must speak with complete authority. Consider how God speaks in Scripture, not with doubt, not with hesitation, but with absolute authority. "Let there be life." These are words of complete authority. The third pillar is feeling. Your blessings must be accompanied by the feeling of fulfillment. Not the feeling of wanting to be blessed, but the feeling of being blessed. For feeling is the secret, and without the proper feeling, your words lack power. The fourth pillar is present tense. Notice how God never said there will be light. He said, "Let there be light." Your blessings must be spoken in the present tense, for consciousness knows only now. The fifth pillar is persistence. Not the persistence of mechanical repetition, but the persistence of maintaining the consciousness of being blessed. For your blessing must become your dominant state of consciousness. The sixth pillar is understanding. You must understand that your blessing is not creating something new. It is acknowledging what already exists in consciousness, for all blessings already exist in the spiritual realm, waiting to be claimed. And the seventh pillar is gratitude. When you bless yourself, you must feel grateful not for what will come, but for what already is. For gratitude is the evidence of faith, and faith is the substance of things hoped for. Let me share with you how these 7 pillars work together. When you recognize your true identity as God individualized, speak with divine authority, feel the reality of your blessing, maintain present tense awareness, persist in the consciousness, understand the principle, and feel genuine gratitude, your blessing must manifest. Consider how this differs from what most people do. Most people speak blessings from their mortal consciousness, with doubt in their voice, feeling the lack rather than the fulfillment, thinking of future fulfillment, giving up at the first sign of delay, lacking understanding of the principle, and feeling no gratitude until they see results. Let me share with you what I call the 3 stages of self-blessing manifestation. Most people don't understand these stages, and that's why they often give up before their blessings manifest. The first stage is spiritual. This happens instantly when you speak your blessing with understanding and feeling. In this stage, you have literally rearranged the spiritual substance of your universe. This is the most crucial stage, for it is the only stage where real creation takes place. The second stage is mental. This is where your mind begins to align with your blessing. You start to think differently, see opportunities differently, and respond to life differently. Many people mistake this for mere positive thinking, but I tell you now, it is far more than that. It is your consciousness reorganizing itself according to your blessing. The third stage is physical. This is where your outer world begins to reflect your blessing. Now, here's what's fascinating about these stages. They must occur in this order. You cannot skip the spiritual stage and go straight to the physical. You cannot bypass the mental stage and expect outer results. Consider the words of Scripture, first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. This is describing these 3 stages. The blade is the spiritual acceptance, the ear is the mental alignment, and the full corn is the physical manifestation. Let me share with you how to recognize when you're in each stage. In the spiritual stage, you feel an inner knowing, a deep peace about your blessing. There might be no outer evidence yet, but you know it is done. In the mental stage, you begin to think thoughts that align with your blessing naturally, without effort. If you've blessed yourself with abundance, for example, you naturally begin to think abundant thoughts. If you've blessed yourself with health, you naturally begin to think healthy thoughts. In the physical stage, your outer world begins to rearrange itself to match your blessing. But then this is crucial. By the time you reach this stage, you're no longer anxious about it, for you see, you've already experienced the reality of reality and consciousness. Let me give you a deeper understanding of how these stages work together. When you say, I am blessed with perfect health, you instantly create this reality in the spiritual realm. This is stage 1. Then your mind begins to align with this new reality. You begin to think like a healthy person, act like a healthy person, make decisions like a healthy person. This is stage 2. Finally, your body and circumstances begin to reflect this new reality. But by this time, you're no longer desperate to happen because you've been living in the carpenter conscious both perfect, each is 1 and 2. Many of you make the mistake of looking for physical evidence before you've allowed the spiritual and mental stages to complete their work. But this is like digging up a seed to see if it's growing. You must allow each stage to unfold in its perfect timing. Let me share with you what I call the 4 states of consciousness and self-blessing. Understanding these states is crucial, for your blessing will manifest according to the state from which you speak it. The first state is the state of desire. This is where most people begin. They speak blessings from a consciousness of wanting, of needing, of lacking. But I tell you now, this state cannot produce results, for it perpetuates the very lack it seeks to overcome. The second state is the state of hope. This is better than desire, but still not powerful enough. When you speak blessings from hope, you are acknowledging that fulfillment is possible, but you haven't yet accepted it as fact in consciousness. The third state is the state of faith. Now we're moving into creative power. When you speak blessings from faith, you are speaking with conviction, with certainty, with knowing. But there is an even higher state. The fourth state is the state of knowing. This is the highest state, the state from which God creates. When you speak blessings from this state, you are speaking as God individualized, knowing that what you declare must manifest. Consider how these states progress. In the state of desire, you say, I want to be blessed. In the state of hope, you say, I might be blessed. In the state of faith, you say, I will be blessed. But in the state of knowing, you simply say, I am blessed. Let me share with you how to move from one state to another. The movement from desire to hope happens naturally as you study and understand the law. The movement from hope to faith happens through testing the law and seeing results. But the movement from faith to knowing, this is the crucial transition. The state of knowing comes when you fully realize your own divine nature. When you understand that you are God individualized, that your consciousness is the only reality, that your word is God's word, then you naturally speak blessings from the state of knowing. Many of you may be wondering how to achieve this state of knowing. Let me tell you something, it's not achieved. It's recognized. It's not something you become. It's something you already are. Your task is to remove the veils that hide this truth from your awareness. Let me share with you what I call the 5 proofs of effective self-blessing. These are the signs that tell you your blessing is taking root in consciousness and must therefore manifest in your world. The first proof is peace. When you've spoken a blessing effectively, you feel a deep peace about it. Not the peace of resignation, but the peace of knowing. For you see, when you truly know something is done in consciousness, all anxiety about it disappears. The second proof is naturalness. Your blessing begins to feel natural to you. You no longer have to convince yourself of it. It becomes as natural as breathing, as natural as your own name. The third proof is indifference to appearances. You find yourself unmoved by contradictory circumstances, not because you're practicing positive thinking, but because you know the reality exists in consciousness, not in appearance. The fourth proof is change in a conversation. Your habitual thoughts and internal dialogue naturally align with your blessing. You don't have to force it. It happens spontaneously because consciousness always produces thoughts that match its state. The fifth proof is inspired action. You find yourself naturally taking actions that align with your blessing, not from effort or planning, but from an inner prompting that feels completely natural. Remember, dear friends, that speaking blessings upon yourself is not an act of egotism. It is an acknowledgement of your divine nature, for you are God, individualized, and your word has all the creative power of the universe behind it when spoken from that understanding. Let the truth of this sink deep into your consciousness. You are blessed not because someone else blessed you, but because you have recognized and claimed your divine inherent through the power of self-blessing. That's the message I want to leave with you tonight. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's true. Not because it's what you expected to hear, but because it's what you needed to hear. Remember, your blessings create your reality when spoken from the consciousness of who you really are. And isn't that worth thinking about?